After 45 days of fighting, the South Vietnamese today ended their thrust into Laos. The last fire base was closed this morning, and 2,000 troops marched back across the border toward Khe Sanh. Only a scattered rear guard remains. Even though the invasion is at an end, intense fighting continues nearby. Khe Sanh was pounded with rockets and artillery all day, and Allied troops along Route 9 were under constant attack. ABC's Steve Bell was with those troops yesterday as they fought their way back out of Laos.
For U.S. support units on Highway 9, the withdrawal phase has been more difficult than the advance. Armored units like this one, with signs and symbols of gallows humor, have run an ambush gauntlet near the border. The objectives: to retrieve damaged equipment and to keep the road open for South Vietnamese armor trying to break out of Laos. Lieutenant John Fitzgibbons, a platoon leader, speaks bitterly about the experience. How do you feel about going back in there every day with the same results?
I feel horrible about it. My men are scared. They're waiting. Every day it's coming closer and closer. We lost a lot of men out there. We lost a lot of vehicles. People are shook up. We don't like going in. It's the last time we're going to do it.
What if you were ordered to do it again tomorrow?
If I was ordered again to do it tomorrow, I'd probably go in and do it. All I can say is I hate to do it. My track's hold up. I just hope we can make it through today.
How does all this make you feel about the whole operation from your perspective?
In my perspective, the operation is, from my point of view, it's not a success. Too much attention was given to the Arabs, not enough support to the Americans. We took heavy casualties out there. We were fired on for over 50 days with heavy artillery. Nobody found the gun. The casualties were too severe for the situation.
There was strong feeling among the Americans that this should be the last day. If the South Vietnamese were to break through, it would have to be now. And the evidence of previous ambushes clogged the roadside as a stark reminder of other trips.
Now we're under fire. The armored column is stopped. The tanks, the APCs, the individual GIs, all firing as we're catching incoming light arms fire and an occasional mortar.
After the first round of incoming mortar, the trip was steadily punctuated by gunfire. Often the column would stop to form a brief defensive cluster with other units. Then it was back on the move again, with GIs firing constantly at potential trouble spots. The dilemma for the Americans is an old one. While their vehicles are glued to the narrow roadway and a few cluster points, the enemy zeroes in from bunkers and deep ambush. The Americans have the firepower, but in terrain like this, they seldom see their targets. Then came the welcome sight. 4 days after their main base in Laos had been evacuated, the first units of South Vietnamese armor broke through to Vietnam. While so many others had not made it back from Laos, they had, after weeks of being cut off and under pressure. But the fighting wasn't over yet. This time there were casualties on our perimeter. 1 American killed, several wounded. Helicopter gunships were now flying support, while medevacs darted in for the wounded. But the South Vietnamese were back, and for the Americans, it was a big step toward the finish of security operations so close to the border. Steve Bell, ABC News, with American Armor on Highway 9.